I never imagined betrayal could hit me 30,000 feet above the ground, but that's exactly where my heart broke wide open. I stood frozen at the boarding gate, suitcase in hand, still clinging to the hope that this Paris trip would save us. 3 years together, and I had poured everything into him: late night support, quiet sacrifices, endless belief in the man I thought was my forever. He was the successful executive with the corner office and the confident stride. I was the girl who cheered him on, believing his promises of a beautiful life together. But when he glanced at my boarding pass, that familiar smirk spread across his face. "Economy class only?" he said loud enough for the whole line to hear. "Don't complain. This is all you can handle." The words landed like ice on my skin. Passengers turned, whispers started, and I felt myself shrink right there in public. My cheeks burned, my throat tightened. How could the same man who once called me his everything now make me feel so small? What I didn't know that night before, the flight, was how deep the betrayal already ran. I had seen the messages, flirty texts, secret plans, another woman's name glowing on his phone screen. My world had shattered in our quiet living room, but I still boarded that plane hoping for one last chance. Instead, he walked straight into business class without a backward glance, leaving me to squeeze into economy like I didn't matter. The overhead lights felt too bright, the seat too narrow, and every breath carried the weight of his smirk, echoing in my ears. I was broken, completely exposed, wondering if I had ever been enough. Tears stung my eyes as the plane pushed back from the gate. But in that moment of pure heartbreak, something I could never have predicted was already unfolding behind the scenes. The flight staff, they were watching, and they were about to change everything. Asterisk, the plane climbed into the clouds, and I sank deeper into my economy seat, the armrest digging into my side like a constant reminder of how far I had fallen in his eyes. He was up front, probably stretching, out in business class with a glass of champagne, while I sat here feeling every inch of the distance he had created. "This is all you can handle." Those 6 words were played on a cruel loop in my mind. I stared out the tiny window at the endless blue, but all I could see was the way he had slowly chipped away at my confidence for months, dismissing my ideas, comparing me to others, making me question my own worth. The betrayal wasn't new. It had been building quietly. The late nights that turned into unexplained absences, the sudden coldness when I reached for his hand, and then those messages I discovered the night, the 4 words he never once said to me. My chest ached so fiercely I could barely breathe. I felt shattered, worthless, like every loving moment we shared had been a lie. Why had I stayed? Why had I convinced myself I deserved this treatment? Tears slipped down my cheeks before I could stop them. The stranger beside me shifted uncomfortably, but I couldn't hide the pain anymore. Then he appeared, walking back through the cabin under the excuse of stretching his legs. He stopped right by my row, leaned down, and whispered with that same smirk, "Enjoying the view back here? See, you fit right in." My heart twisted violently. I couldn't speak. The humiliation burned hotter than ever. In that instant, every memory rushed back. The birthdays he forgot, the dreams he called cute, the way he made me feel like an accessory rather than a partner. I was destroyed inside, completely broken by the man I had trusted with my whole soul. But something shifted in the silence that followed. The anger that had been buried under layers of hurt began to rise, quiet, steady, and powerful. I refused to let him win. I refused to let his cruelty define me. That's when the flight attendant paused at my row. She was warm, maybe in her 40s, with kind eyes that seemed to notice everything. "You okay, love?" she asked softly, offering me a fresh bottle of water. Her gentle voice cracked something open. I whispered the truth, the cheating, the messages, the cruel smirk at the gate. She didn't gasp or judge. She simply listened, her hand resting lightly on the seat back. "No one deserves to be spoken to like that," she said. "You are worth so much more." In that small moment of kindness, strength started blooming inside my broken heart. I wasn't invisible anymore. I wasn't alone. The pain was still there, raw and real. But for the first time since the betrayal began, I felt myself rising. Asterisk. What happened next felt like a scene from a movie I never dared to dream. My kind flight attendant quietly shared my story with the rest of the crew, strong, professional women who had seen too many passengers treated poorly. They didn't need long explanations. They saw the truth in my eyes and the arrogance in his earlier behavior when he had snapped at one of them over a simple request. Mid-flight, during the service, they moved with quiet purpose. First, they approached his business class seat. Polite, but firm, they explained there had been a seat reassignment due to operational needs. Before he could protest, they escorted him all the way back to economy, the very last row. Middle seat, right beside a tired family with a restless toddler, his face drained of color. The smirk vanished. Then came the moment that still gives me chills. Over the intercom, the captain's calm voice announced, "We'd like to extend a special thank you to our passenger in row 12 for her patience and understanding. We're upgrading her to business class for the remainder of the flight." The entire cabin erupted in soft applause as I walked forward, head high, to the spacious seat that had once been his. Champagne arrived moments later. I sipped it slowly, feeling the weight lift with every mile we flew. He sat there stunned, exposed in front of strangers, his power trip completely dismantled. When he tried to argue, the crew stood united. "Sir, we do not tolerate disrespectful behavior toward our passengers or staff," one said clearly. The whispers spread through the plane like wildfire. Everyone had seen his attitude at the gate. Everyone now saw justice unfolding in real time. His face burned with humiliation, the same humiliation he had forced on me by the time we landed in Paris. The storm inside me had settled into peaceful clarity. I collected my bags alone, ended the relationship with quiet finality at baggage claim, and walked away without looking back. That flight didn't just upgrade my seat, it upgraded my entire life. The moral I carry with me now is simple yet powerful. No one has the right to make you feel small or unworthy. When someone tries to shrink you with their words or actions, remember your worth is never up for negotiation. Sometimes justice doesn't come from loud confrontation, it arrives quietly, through the kindness of strangers who refuse to let cruelty win. I rose stronger, lighter, and free. And that, more than any revenge, is the greatest victory of all.